Taj is kind of a wild card. You don't know how he's going to react, and Pepio as well. So you really can't talk about that. But now Boz knows what it's like, and Rasmussen, they know what it's like now, and that helps.
I would just like to compare, not that I have it all in front of me, but what were the ages and experience levels of the 2008 pitching staff compared to the pitching staff of today?
Ooh,
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this will be our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
And it's spring training, so that means you need to grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays. We want to thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your first listen every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We have a mailbag episode. It's been a minute since we had one of those, and we have 3 amazing questions from the listeners out there. And as it is our wont, we give priority to the voice memos. So without further ado.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Juan, and my question for the day is, I think one of the problems that the Rays, at least in the pitching staff, has right now is a lack of veteran leadership. We've had people like Corey Kluber, Zach Eflin, people like that with proven playoff experience. It kind of worries me, we have so many inexperienced pitchers in the playoffs. So I was wondering, should the Rays or could the Rays possibly, down the trade deadline, acquire a veteran pitcher for the staff? Because, like I said, I feel like it would just help, in terms of playoff experience. Maybe we don't need one, because we have so many talented pitchers already on this staff. But what are your thoughts?
That's a great question from Juan. We appreciate that. I think the first time he sent us an email or a voice memo, so that's awesome.
Yes. So first, thank you, Juan, for sending that in, for being part of the Locked On Rays community. We really appreciate it, and we love it when people not only send their mailbag questions, but when they do it in form of their own voice. You just get a little bit of extra points. I gotta be honest. You get a little bit of bonus points.
A little more flavor. Instead of an A, you get an A+. You get an A just for sending us something, but an A+, 100%, 99.9% for doing the voice memo. That is extra effort, and we appreciate that.
Kevin, what do you think about Juan's questions / concerns / comments?
It is interesting because I don't know if it's something that we've ever really brought up of late. All we do, honestly, is talk about, hey, the pitching staff needs to stay healthy. If they stay healthy, they're going to be in a good spot. I don't know if we've gone too far as to suggest some of the youth and experience of the roster, how that would impact, or the pitching staff, I should say, how that would impact a playoff run. You certainly don't have a Corey Kluber or a Charlie Morton or a Colin McHugh or a James Shields or somebody like that. But it's not like, at least speaking from the rotation standpoint, it's not like everybody's a rookie. Like, I know Shane is young, but Shane McClanahan, that is. I know Shane McClanahan is young, but he is very veteran tested. You're talking about a Cy Young candidate and a multi-time All-Star who's performed in the playoffs. Same thing for guys like Drew Rasmussen. It's not like they're not, how should I say this? They're not rookies and they're not 35, but I feel like they have a good weight under them enough to provide some guidance and leadership to the Pepios and the Bradleys of the world. And you can even throw, Zach Littell as a veteran voice as well. And then, in the bullpen, I mean, Pete Fairbanks, I think he's been around quite a bit now. So it's not something I'm overly concerned. I mean, that's also why you have such a revered pitching coach in Kyle Snyder, and you go out and add a veteran catcher who's been around the block in Danny Jansen. I think that eliminate some of the concerns that Juan is bringing up, but maybe that is something that the Rays look at. If they are legitimately in playoff contention near the trade deadline, do they go out and get, some type of veteran arm? Not saying it has to be a superstar, but a guy that can, who's been there and done that a little bit more. But I really am not, I don't have too much issue with the youth on the team, so to speak. I mean, you just don't want them to go out there, and really all I'm asking for them to be, prepare the right way, handle failure the right way, focus on mixing your pitches. Don't just, live and die by the fastball, like basic stuff, which I think is commanded to these players. So, it's not something that I've got like a big issue with at this juncture, I would say. I mean, but again, if they start, getting all big-eyed when they're in Yankee Stadium or in Fenway Park against superstars, then maybe it's something to consider down the line.
I think it's something to consider if you're seeing signs about it being an issue during the regular season. Like you're saying, something in Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, or, moments of stress, high leverage situations early in the ball game. How are they handling it? I do agree with you with Shane McClanahan. Like, if you want an ace that's battle tested, dude, the dude's been pitching in the playoffs since basically making his debut in MLB. Let's not forget that. 2020.
And I also think that dealing with injuries or multiple injuries like he and Rasmussen have, I think that matures you in a way too, and you have a greater appreciation for the game and greater focus for the game, besides, somebody that hasn't had any roadblocks whatsoever.
Right. I agree with that. After Shane, and yeah, Drew has that in him, it is a young bunch. It is Shane Baz, it is Ryan Pepio, and it is Tosh Bradley. Like, we do have to recognize that it's a young trifecta there that has a lot of potential, but has not seen a lot of big league time. And, Shane Baz had that issue in the 2021 playoffs. We all remember that. And Drew Rasmussen did as well. And Shane McClanahan did when he was used as a reliever in Boston. So I wouldn't go as far as saying that this is an issue, but I'm also not going to say that it's not a problem whatsoever. I think I would feel better if there was a guy, pick a guy who's 35 that has been around the block and that could give you solid innings. I would feel better about that, because these rubbing elbows with people that have been there, done that, it helps you. It helps your training. It helps your confidence. It helps studying the game. It helps slowing it down. And you hear that all the time. We hear it all the time when we interview players, that you have to find a way to slow it the bleep down. A veteran guy can help you do that. So I'm in between. I don't think it's a must have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset at all if come trade deadline they see a guy. I mean, honestly, I can't even think of one. I know in the past we've joked about Zach Greinke. That would be awesome, just because of also the personality that he brings. But I mean, a guy like Verlander, who's getting paid $15 million. And if he's doing all right and is able to, be traded, Alex Cobb return home and also getting $15 million, that's only half of that trade deadline. So I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Well, maybe the Rays shouldn't have traded Zach Eflin in the first place. Then this question probably wouldn't have been brought up by Juan there. But good point. It's something we really haven't put much weight into, but something that I'll be monitoring, because there is something to be said. You can't just have outright talent and a great fastball and great breaking balls. Like, mental toughness is involved, strategy is involved, game preparation is involved, confidence is involved, adapting to much higher levels of competition is involved. It's all a factor there. But I think that there is a good support system with the Rays. As I mentioned, Kyle Snyder, Kevin Cash, not to disrespect Ben Horvat, but I think Danny Jansen definitely. I think having a really quality catcher eliminates some of those issues as well.
And I think that in theory is really strong. But I'm also thinking maybe that's what they thought in 2021. We got Mike Zunino there, baby. He's going to chill them down and it's going to find. It didn't end up working that way. I don't think that it's going to happen again because all of those guys have more experience now, especially Boz and Rasmussen. Like they've been there. They were the guys. Taj is kind of a wild card. You don't know how he's going to react, and Pepio as well. So you really can't talk about that. But now Boz knows what it's like. And Rasmussen, they know what it's like now. And that helps.
I would just like to compare, not that I have it all in front of me, but what were the ages and experience levels of the 2008 pitching staff compared to the pitching staff of today?
Ooh, and you know what? I would like to research that, but I would need a really delicious snack.
Yeah, well, there is a delicious snack that I can think of, and that is...
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful Pistachios. There we go. I got it in my camera. Hopefully I'm not pixelated or potatoing right now. It is the time where we want to remind you that if you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, you need to crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios. It's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. So what are you waiting for? Get snacking and get cracking, or get cracking and get snacking. You can say it however you want. I don't care. With the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Can I be honest? I think we do the best Wonderful Pistachio read of all of Locked On.
I agree. The bosses, I don't know if they hate it or love it, but I'll tell you what, people are talking about Wonderful Pistachios after our live reads.
I bet that there will be at least 3 comments talking about Wonderful Pistachios and on this video. I bet. Guarantee 3. I'm guaranteeing it, bleeping A.
That sound is so wonderful.
Exactly.
The mind and the psyche, I think, for everybody there. Next question from Sergio. Topic is Chandler Simpson. Sergio says, I think Chandler Simpson might be everyone's favorite prospect in spring training. Folks are saying this guy has the potential to be Billy Hamilton, but actually gets on base. Not my opinion. I'm excited, but need to see more this spring and maybe more in the minors first. Thoughts on Chandler?
Well, thank you, Sergio, for writing to us. Sergio has become now kind of, I think he's a regular now on the mailbag system.
Yeah, I think he's OG status. He's getting to that point.
I think he's getting to that point. He's like a Brandon Lau-ish. Like the career numbers are there.
Yeah, I think Sergio stays healthier than Brandon, though.
I think so too, Sergio, and that's good for you. Chandler Simpson, what a bleeping topic.
Yes.
I agree with you, Sergio, on the last. It's exciting. I want to see more. 1,000%. I would say that about basically every prospect, right?
Yeah.
But this time, it's different because what he can do is at such an elite level. It's really maybe Wander Franco's bat to ball skills.
Yeah. Which Chandler Simpson has really, really great bat to ball skills in his own right as well. I mean, I think throughout the minors, he has walked more than he struck out.
Yes. So he's no slouch at that, but the elite is that speed.
Right.
So a prospect doesn't come around like that. Maybe you can talk about Junior Camaro's power or Xavier Isaacs, but really this is another level of what Chandler Simpson can do. I mean, he's already been dubbed the fastest man in baseball by people that don't follow the race.
Yeah.
They just look at the numbers and they're like, this is the fastest kid. Now, like I said on Monday's episode, there was a commenter who said, hey, he's not an outfielder. All the numbers that I read and the things on Fangraphs, whatever, he's not projected to be a great center fielder or a good center fielder at all. I am going to respectfully disagree. I think you have to let this man cook. I think you can see the talent. In fact, in Boston, against Boston 3 days ago, he made 2 outstanding catches in less than 30 minutes. Let him cook. Let him get a little bit of seasoning. Let's not put so much undue process on a guy that hasn't been fully developed yet. But is it exciting? Yes. For me, he's the most exciting prospect. Basically, it sucks to say, but Wander.
Basically, Wander. I think he's a more exciting prospect than Junior. Because of his rare, unique skill set. Look, a lot of guys can hit home runs, but not many guys can beat out a grounder to third or a grounder to first like easily as well.
Like it's uncanny. It's like fake. When you see you don't believe it. Like, the home run is great, but I think maybe we're a little bit desensitized because so many guys nowadays hit the 114 mile an hour.
Everything's about exit velocity. Everything's about power. And Simpson definitely is not that, although I guess there's some metrics that show he's getting at least exit velocities of 100 mile per hour. But let's not take away the point of he will not hit home runs. The only type of home runs he's going to hit are inside the Parkers. But I'm totally okay with that because pretty much everything else about his game is palatable and worth watching. Look, I know the outfield thing is still a work in progress because I believe he was an infielder in college, but based on what we've seen in the spring, that's something I'm gobbling up. And I just think it takes more reps, which he will eventually get in AAA because really the speed can make up for a bad read or a bad jump. And once he gets more comfortable with those reads and jumps, I would think that he'd be able to make pretty much any play that's out there.
We were talking about this the other day with pitchers, right? Like, hey, if you have a 95 mile an hour fastball, good on you. You make a mistake, you're probably going to get, slapped around pretty much.
Yeah.
If you have a 99, you make a mistake, you might get away with it because of that margin of error. It's very important, that increase in velocity. Same thing when you're an outfielder. If you have a bad jump, but if you can recover with your elite speed, which he does, this is a guy who can score on a sacrifice fly from second base. Yes. Let's not forget he did that. He
did that in high level Division I baseball in the ACC.
And that's not easy to do. I mean, I think a lot of people would call it like you're ridiculous, but I do feel like, to me, and this is subjective, so whatever.
Yeah,
I do think he is a more entertaining, exciting prospect than Junior Caminero.
Yeah, because it's different than what we've seen over the last decade
20 years.
Yeah, I mean, outside of throw out Juan Pierre or Luis Arias, like there's 2 guys basically, and
out of 700.
Yeah, and the thing with Chandler Simpson that, look, we can talk about the speed, and that's going to be what all the articles and podcasts are situated on, and television features, however you want to, all the media coverage is surrounding his running ability. But like, this guy won a batting title in college, and he won a minor league batting title as well. His career MILB /line is 326, 394, 375. Let's focus more on the 326 and the on base percentage and all that. But
it gets lost because the speed is so elite. That gets lost.
Right. 100%. So, I really hope he figures out the center field thing and that we see him in the show sooner rather than later. And I would think that even if like the outfield doesn't develop as the Rays want this year, I could still see him as a September call-up just for the speed alone.
Okay, question for you. Do you think we're going to see him before September?
Yes.
I think so too.
Cool. Yeah.
Are we going to see him before September because of injury or because of his own production or because of lack of production from other folks?
I would think a I mean, this is a cop out, but combination thereof. I do think he's going to crush it so much that he cannot be ignored anymore, and the Rays will have to find a spot for him.
I think he's going to be making it very difficult for them in like June, July, for them to not be like, okay, we got to get this guy up here.
Yes.
And there are prospects that do that. And again, with his style of play, you are not only changing your dynamic in your own lineup, but now you have something that some pitchers don't even have to worry about. I mean, you see baseball right now, like some guys don't even look at first base, man.
Right.
Maybe since the bags have gotten a little bit bigger, maybe that has gone a little bit on the wayside. But you watch baseball just as much as I do, and you guys do too. There are times when they don't even look at the runner anymore. Guess what? You're going to be looking at Chandler. And you have an opportunity here, which we talked when Ricky passed away. You can score without putting the ball in play.
Yeah.
I mean, infield hit, steal second, steal third, pass ball. You got yourself a run, man. That's huge.
And that's ultimately going to help the other hitters in the Rays lineup, because if Simpson is on base, the opposing battery of pitcher and catcher, they cannot just focus on the hitter. They have another quotient that they have to put a ton of attention on. And that could lead to fastball down the middle or a walk, or it could lead to a myriad of things just so they ensure that Simpson doesn't steal on them. Or maybe they don't. And then maybe they have, like, I don't know, Yandy or Bilal or Josh Lowe or Caminero at the plate, and they're laser focused on getting one of those guys out. And before you know it, Simpson goes from first to third, and you're going to get a run regardless.
Exactly. So you have that double-edged sword. If you pay too much attention to me, the guy at the batter's box is going to make you pay. And if you pay attention too much on them, guess what? I'm at third already, bro. Yeah. So no, I'm very excited about Chandler Simpson. I understand where you're coming from, Sergio, that you want to see more. Of course, we all want to see more, but I'm super excited. I can't wait to see him like daily with the Rays for sure.
All right, so we've had a couple of great mailbag questions. We do have another mailbag question, but what do you say we save it for the next episode, top of the show, and then we get to some other topics?
Let's do that.
See you guys on Wednesday. Everybody, of course. Yes, there we go. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen today. For your second listen, be sure to check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with host Dominic Martino and Matthew On A. MLB fantasy draft season is here. Be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.